Good, beautiful morning in Chiang Mai, Thailand. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about leaving the US, especially if you're interested in leaving as soon as possible. A lot of people have been asking me about how to leave America, and especially because a lot of people are trying to leave right now. So if I were to leave US tomorrow, these are all the things that I would do. This is from the perspective of someone living in Asia. So I'm currently in Thailand. I've also lived in Japan, Korea, and Vietnam. And I know right now the US is going through so much, and I'm so sorry. It's extremely heartbreaking that what is happening to my country and how it's affecting my friends and my family and my people. But at the same time, living abroad has been a very fulfilling experience for me. The safety, the comfort, the healthcare, all the accessibility, healthy foods. I just thrive so much as a human. Go figure, not being in the US. And so in today's video, I do want to share and give some tips. So hey, I'm Day, and I've spent over 10 years living abroad. And the first thing I do want to say is that you do not need to be rich to live abroad. I feel like this is the biggest misconception. So I come from a very impoverished background, and I managed to live abroad and achieve the dreams and goals that I wanted. You do not need to be rich, okay? And still living and thriving here. And if I was still in the US, I probably would be struggling a lot. But because I'm outside of the US, I am not struggling. So I first moved abroad in Japan in 2012. I was a student. I also got to live in Korea for free housing, free healthcare, and free lunches for 2-3 years in Seoul, the capital of Korea, because I decided to teach English there. I built a life here in Thailand on a budget, and Vietnam, I did the exact same thing. I've done all of this while figuring out on the go, making mistakes, and learning from them. And I really hope that I can share my knowledge and experience. So the thing about America is that it has seriously conditioned us to believe that we need to be making six figures, be millionaires, giant houses, fancy cars. And for one, do not make us happy. It does not satisfy us at all. For two, it's literally just all propaganda. This is designed to make us continue to consume because America grows through our consumption. That's how the wealthier gets wealthy, when we consume, and we are in a scarcity mindset. This just does not exist in a lot of other countries. You can live in Asia for far, far, far less and be thriving so much more as long as you get out of the mindset that you need to be a billionaire, millionaire, six-figure person with a giant house. And I mean, hey, you can even get a giant house here in Thailand for $500 a month, $600 a month. These things are accessible if you still do desire those things. Asia has a lot to offer for those who are interested in starting over. So whether you are 22 or 55, whether you have pets or kids. Also, I wanted to add too that Asia has so much to offer. The languages, like I really enjoy learning new languages and just immersing myself in the culture. Even though these countries, their currency is weaker than the USD, the thing that really sets it apart is that a lot of people in these countries, although of course they have their own struggles, tend to have their basic needs at least met. Whereas in the US, if we're not working, we're homeless. Can do this, and I'm gonna now break down the steps on what I would do if I need to leave by tomorrow and rebuild my life here. First things first is get your passport. Majority of Americans do not have a passport, and this statistic always breaks my heart. If I were you, I would literally make this your number one, because getting your passport takes time. It can take up to 2 months. You can expedite it, but it does cost more money. Not only that, the American passport agency has been very shifty lately. My husband actually has been having issues with his passports because of the American passport agency. People have been experiencing long delays. They are firing and laying off people that are in this space, and it makes it a lot harder. So if I were you, I would do this the next day. I would fill out the application. You just go online to the American passport website. I would print out the form, or you can also just go to the post office and fill out the form. That you could also take your photos there. I would pay the fee, and I would literally just get this done as soon as possible. Again, my husband had issues with his passports because the US passport agency office continued to mess it up, and because of that he had to get 3 more passports, and we did have to expedite it, and it had cost us a lot of money. But that's just because the American government and agencies have been dropping the ball. So before things continue to get worse, I would get it done, because who knows, eventually they might completely cut it off. You never know. It's just good to have as a backup. Number 2, pick your destination. Now I know this feels overwhelming because there are so many countries out there, but let me break down the ones that I know scenario, and I give easy accessibility to Americans who need to leave quickly even without a lot of savings. So first, I recommend Thailand. That's where I'm currently at. There are multiple ways you can actually stay in Thailand. So first, you do need a visa. If you don't know what a visa is, it's pretty much a government documentation that allows you to stay in a country. It goes into your passport, allows you to stay in a country for X amount of time. So for example, there are student visas, working visas, retirement visas, golden visas. These just allow you to stay in that specific country. Each country has an array of different visas. With Thailand, that's one place I do recommend right now, is because they just announced their DTV, the destination Thailand visa, and this visa allows you to come back and forth and stay in Thailand for 180 days for up to 5 years. So that means you can come here and live for 6 months, and then you would have to do a visa run, which pretty much means you just leave the country for a day or two and then come back. You can do this for 5 years. Like, it gives you accessibility to Thailand for 5 years. You do need to show proof of some kind of remote work, whether if that's teaching online, freelancing, contract work, or if you're currently working remotely, you can show this as a way to apply for the DTV. And you do need proof of funds, which is usually around 14,000 USD. I know it does sound like a lot, but compared to other countries, this is actually very reasonable, and it does give you access to come in and out of Thailand. And here's the thing, once you're in Thailand, your cost of living is so low. Currently, I am filming my vlog just to show my lifestyle in Thailand, and our total bills are around like $800 to $900 a month, including housing, food, activities, having fun. I'm in this beautiful space, massages, relaxation. In the US, this equivalent lifestyle would easily be in the multiple thousands. You can get nice apartments here for between 200 to 500 USD, and each meal on average costs between $1 to $5. So your day-to-day expenses are so low and compared to what the US would be. And then also healthcare is accessible. I actually had to go to the doctors and I got a checkup, and I think I paid like 15, 20 USD without being on a national health insurance tier. It just shows that you can have this accessibility. Another visa you can do is the tourist visa, and this is something I've done. So when you come to Thailand, you pretty much get 2 months of being able to come and live in Thailand, and then you get an additional month at the immigration office once your 60 days are kind of getting closer. So you get 3 months total to stay in Thailand.
Okay, hey guys, the current Daisha here. So I actually filmed this video earlier this year. I want to say it was like winter, so like January, February, and it's currently June right now. I'm kind of delayed in editing this video, but I just want to tell you guys how quickly things are changing. So in this video I said that it's 2 months for a tourist visa. Thailand actually just changed this. Now instead of 2 months plus 30 days, now you only can get 1 month. So when you come to Thailand as a tourist, you can only stay for 1 month out. So that's even more pressure to go ahead and get your DTV or any other visa, any country you're going to, because right now countries are changing a lot of their rules and regulations and visa policies. Japan is doing the exact same thing, and so many other countries are becoming a lot more stricter. And obviously there's a lot of political turmoil, not just in the US, but in other countries. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind, because that is currently happening. When I was editing this, things have already changed. So if you are trying to move abroad, make sure you do all of these as soon as possible, because you just don't know like how things are going to play out even in the next month, next few months, for the year or next year. So get your ducks in a row, get your ducks in order. I said that right? As soon as you can.
Another option is Vietnam. I loved living in Vietnam for the 3 months I was there, because it's also very, very kind of affordable. I was paying on average between 50 cents to $2. Coffee I was getting for like 30 cents. But the thing with Vietnam is that they don't have a specific visa for staying long term, but honestly they are not strict when it comes to their visas. So a lot of times people are doing the 3-month tourist visa that they get into when they come into Vietnam, and they just do visa runs. They usually do a same flight to Bangkok and back to Vietnam in order to reset their visa, and Vietnam is totally okay with this. They're super accepting. I've met people in Vietnam who have been living there for years, 5+ years, doing this method with a nice house that they're paying a few $100s a month for, while again having very cheap and affordable food. And also I was staying in Da Nang, which is by the beach, and it was just so relaxing to just go to the beach every day and being around very joyful, jolly Vietnamese people who are just living their day by day, talking about how happy they are and singing and dancing. This is what life should be when you're not being squeezed for money just to have basic necessities. So I'm gonna now talk about Korea and Japan. So these countries are much more different because they do have stricter laws and policies. You can't just be going in and out of them like Thailand and Vietnam, but at the same time, they do offer a lot more visas, a lot more options. So, for example, in South Korea, I was an English teacher there, and so I got to be on a teaching visa, which is a government-sponsored visa. I was there on a program called EPIC, which is an English program in Korea, and I was able to teach English there. It included free housing, free flight, free healthcare, and I literally got to live in Seoul, the capital of South Korea, 10 million people, and I was just literally living my best life. Simple as that. Living my best life. I definitely would consider it. All you need to do is have a bachelor's degree, but if you have a bachelor's degree, do consider teaching abroad, not just in Korea, just in Thailand and Vietnam. In Japan, there are a similar program called JET, and again, this just allows you to teach English in Japan. It's a little bit different than Korea, but it's also government sponsored. The only thing is this one doesn't come with housing, but your pay scale is a little bit higher, I think. But it gives you the chance to live in Japan as well. And plus, I mean, the housing that you do get through JET is very, very, very affordable. So you're still making money and you're still able to save. I also was a student in Japan, and Japan does have like a Japanese language learning visa where you can just come and learn Japanese. So this is a good way to move to Japan if you just want to get out the country, if you have some money. The classes aren't horribly expensive. It's about 5,000 to 7,000 per year. So if you do have a decent amount of savings and you want to move to Japan, this could be a great option for you. The visas for a year, and then you can continue to extend. And also keep in mind too, while you're there, you could be finding ways to network, to possibly find jobs, to make money. So, but these are just options for countries that you can do. I love both Japan and Korea. Japan is very serene, very organized. Tokyo is chaotic, but like in a fun, organized way. In other parts of Japan, it's just very beautiful, a lot of history and art and culture. In Korea, the food is amazing. The people are very energetic and friendly. Knowing Korean is so fun. It's also very organized and just well put together, a little bit cheaper than Japan, so that is nice. All right, next, number 3 is I would book your travels. So now that you chose your destination, the next thing is to literally book your flight. Flights are probably, honestly, you're gonna be your biggest expense. But there are a lot of good ways to find cheap flights. I use Google Flights, and honestly, I'm always hunting for cheap flights. I also do mile hacking, which if I can do a future video on this where I use more miles and points. I pretty much use miles and points to be able to book my flights, so this makes it very cheap or free for me a lot of times. This is something I also recommend if you do have credit cards, if you do have miles, maybe consider saving these to book your flights. If you're moving with a lot of stuff, what I recommend to do, to be honest, is to sell and get rid of everything and just start fresh. Like, just bring your basic necessities, clothes you want to bring, maybe a few momentums, but honestly, like, we sold literally everything. My husband and I got rid of everything. And honestly, a lot of the money, we made a decent amount of money from selling everything that we are able to use and fund for our travels. Okay, step 4 is accommodation. When you are going to Vietnam or Thailand, I'd recommend getting a hotel or a hostel or Airbnb just for like a few days to a week, so that way you can land and you can explore different neighborhoods to see what you would like. Also, usually if you're searching for apartments in person, it's a lot more cheaper than booking them online. So that's what I would recommend. You can get hostels and Airbnbs in Thailand and Vietnam for very, very cheap for a week. You can probably be spending like $30, $40 for the entire week. Use that time where you just hit the ground and then you're just exploring different neighborhoods. Maybe do some research prior and then go to those neighborhoods and see what you like. Talk to people, Facebook groups. You can also talk to real estate agencies and just seeing like if you can find something for cheap versus like booking a month on Airbnb, which is going to be significantly more. Number 5, money and banking. So if you do have a banking system, the first thing I would do is obviously notify your credit card companies or bank that you are going to be leaving abroad, so that way they don't freeze your account. For 2, I recommend getting a Charles Schwab card. I'm not sponsored by them, but it's a debit card that allows you to take money out of an ATM in any country without any international fees. All fees are completely reimbursed. It's absolutely the best. Also, yeah, I would look into getting a local bank if you are planning to stay in a said country for a long time. And if you do plan on traveling abroad, I would get international license. I have an international license that you get at AAA, and I think it's like 20 USD. But this allows you to drive and ride motorbikes in Thailand and in Vietnam. Honestly, they don't really check here, but just to be safe, because when I was here 8 years ago, they were checking a lot. But I feel like nowadays they don't really check as much, but well, again, just to be safe, it never hurts. So the next step is I would pack your essentials. So this includes passports, birth certificates, any financial documents, medical records, vaccination proof, and make sure you have copies. It's always good to be safe than sorry. I have copies. I also make sure I take a picture of everything, and then I have a specific folder on my phone that's called documents. So that way it's just very accessible for me. Bring your medications, but just make sure that they are allowed in those countries. Again, I would do research. Japan is a little bit stricter than, for example, Thailand. And again, focus on the essentials. I know people want to bring everything with them, but it's important to learn detachment and to let go. In America, we have a high consumerism issue, and we buy a lot of things, and our house and places are filled with things we do not need. We need to learn how to detach and be okay with living with little. It's totally okay, and it's more freeing, and it's better for your wallet, your mental health, and also better for the environment. So just try to bring the essentials and the things that you need, especially if you're trying to leave as soon as possible. I do want to add like a pets and kids section. I don't have any pets, but I do have a friend that brought their dog here from US to Thailand, and it is possible, it is doable. It doesn't seem like it's that hard. I do think different countries have different rules, but I think in Thailand it's not that hard. I think you just have to do some kind of certificate thing, but you do not have to leave your pets. Like some people are like, oh my god, my pets, but bring them. People are doing it. It just requires a little bit of research. And then kids, I've seen people bring their entire family here to Asia. So there's options of schooling. People do homeschooling. There's international schools. You can even bring them to a local school. Why not? Give them the true local experience. They'll learn the language. They'll pick it up. It'll be great for their brains and development. But your kids are going to be thriving here than they would in US because they have access to fresh food, fresh vegetables. Like to them, candy and sweet things will be dragon fruit and pineapple versus our ultra processed candies that we have in the US. Have access to the outdoors and just these beautiful spaces and different languages and cultures. And so they will grow and become better humans outside of US, to be honest, I think. Next thing you do is you can register with STEP, Smart Travel and Enrollment Program. It's a US Embassy government program that just continues to update things if something were to happen. I'm not in this program, but this could be good for people who just want to stay informed, obviously, especially what's going on nowadays if they have family and friends back at home. And then number 8 step that I would do is now that you're here, get your plate. Definitely we'll just look into how to stay long term. So that means just looking into longer term visas. So that could be the DTV, like I mentioned, in Thailand. Vietnam doesn't really have anything, but in Korea, it could also be English teaching. It could also be finding a job, like a proper job where the companies of these countries will gladly sponsor you a work visa. So that way you can stay long term. Thailand has a retirement visa up to 20 years or something like that. So if you are above the age 55, I want to say, that could be something to look into. There's also the golden visa, which means like if you do have a certain amount of money, just get a 5 to 20 year visa, depending on how much money you have. You do have a lot of money, but for those who don't, definitely just look into things that you can do now that you're here. Just start hustling, start grinding, start looking, start researching, start networking, start connecting, and just truly build a life here so that way you can stay here. So I do want to transition now into figuring out your income. So I did kind of briefly talk about this, but you do not need a lot to live in a lot of these countries because America runs on high consumerism and exploitation of its people. But here it's not a necessity. So you can live comfortably for about $1,000 to $2,000 a month. And so if you're freelancing, there are things like Upwork or Fiverr that if you just have certain skills that people would love to use and can pay you. If you're making $10, $15 an hour, it's very doable. It's actually amazing here, but you can even make more, $15, $25 an hour. You can teach online. If you have any skills that you are good at, maybe consider consulting, maybe start an online business. Try to find ways that you can monetize the skills that you do have. And then if you don't have any skills that you want to monetize, maybe you want to build up certain skills. Yeah, just again, teach online or some administration job, something simple that you can do that gives you a little bit of income that allows you to afford your lifestyle here. But again, like you do not need a whole lot compared to the US. You don't have to be working 40 hours a work week. 20-hour work weeks are totally fine. As long as you just have enough that is in your budget range, why not? You can spend a lot of that other time investing into skills, relaxing and resting, reading, creating, doing things that you've always wanted to do. I mean, that's one thing I love about being here is that I spend, the first half of the morning working and the early afternoon, and then later afternoon, evening, I usually meet people, I network, and I continue to try to learn new things so that way I can continue to use my skills for something else. And I want to build a business, and those all take time and energy, right? But I'm just glad to have that time because in the US, I was working 40-hour work weeks, and I did have a business there too, but it was like taking 60-hour work weeks total with my business, and it was just a lot, and I was very stressed, and I just didn't feel good. But now, like, I feel so much better. And I did want to briefly talk about healthcare. So I know I kind of mentioned it earlier. There are also global and travelers healthcare insurance that you can get. That's usually way cheaper than American health insurance. So the one we have is called Genki, and I'll post a link below. but they do, I think theirs is like $70 a month. So if you do have some extra income and you do want to spare on some health insurance, you can get that health insurance. It's good for covering like really, really big accidents or incidents. So that's nice. Otherwise though, you don't really need the health insurance. For me, like I said, I got a checkup and I just paid the local Thai money and that was enough. So those are just things to keep in mind. The last step I would say is, now that you're abroad, you're here with your place, please find community. You can even start before leaving. There are Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups. There's so many communities for you to stay if you are looking for a place to live. I'm in Chiang Mai. I'm in a bajillion Chiang Mai WhatsApp groups, but it's been so helpful. There's Chiang Mai Accommodation, Black in Chiang Mai, Women in Chiang Mai Writers. There are so many WhatsApp groups that I'm in that allows me to ask any questions that I may have, and also a lot of people are willing to help, which is completely amazing. Also, there are just so many amazing people in these countries that, they want to spend time, they want to learn, they want to connect, and it can feel scary leaving, but at the same time, it's nice to have that comfort, because at the end of the day, all we need is community, and community will always have your back. And also, there's travelers and people living here, but they're also locals, and locals are also always happy to meet people. And especially if you're living in a country, I think it's always great to try to learn a language and integrate. And so having local friends and support can also be very beneficial too. And in Asia, people have been so welcoming and kind here. I've been very lucky and blessed. Just the amount of help and support that I get from here, just from the local community as well. I do know it's overwhelming. I do know it's really hard what's happening right now in the US, but I just want to say that you can do it. I've done it. I've been abroad for many years, and it's just been the best thing of my life. And you don't need a perfect plan. You don't need to be rich. You can make mistakes. This is just normal parts of life. Discomfort. There's growth in discomfort, but at the end of the day, you grow and become a better version of yourself for you and for the people around you. And being in Asia has given me so much support and love and safetyness and health, things that I feel like the US was kind of taken away from me. And if you're watching this because you feel like the US isn't safe anymore, totally understand. Just know that there are solutions and there are ways to leave, because there's a whole world out there that is willing to welcome you. So start today, pick your country, create a plan, do some research, join communities. You can join them even before here, join Facebook groups, etc. I'll also link some information down below, so that way you'll also have access to those things. And I will continue to make videos of my life abroad and also giving tips on how you can also move abroad. So thank you so much for watching, and again, if you have any questions or need any support, feel free to ask away. I'll be here, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.